Ferrania P33, we have a new film to look at and do a full review of here on Fission Revolution. But I decided to make this review fun. I got 5 rolls of film, 5 cameras, and we're gonna use 5 different developers, so 5, 5, 5, and we're gonna see what we really think about this new offering. So I've decided that what I really wanna do is really see just how far we can push this material. So the 5 developers that we're gonna use is Diafine, which I love, Rodinal, which I love, HC110 Dilution G stand, which I love, DDX stand, which I love, and DF96. So 5 really great developers that I've written extensively about, and we're just gonna see how this film looks. But it's even cooler than that. I'm gonna try 5 different cameras. And the reason is that we all work with different cameras. We all have different looks that we like. In this way, you're gonna get to see a variety of different types of images, and hopefully one of them will click with the way that you work. So the cameras we're gonna use is my Widelux F7, amazing camera, sweeping lens, it'll be a great look. We're also gonna use my Zeiss Hologon Ultrawide, which I just did an extensive review here on the Revolution. We're also gonna use the Alfie camera. This is really fun, alternative camera. I've done a lot of reviews on it. What I like about this camera is we're gonna get the look of a meniscus lens, a complex lens, a pinhole, and a zone plate all in one camera. So that covers a lot of ground. We're also gonna use my Virgin stereo camera, which the amazing Dirk Fletcher, hey Dirk, converted for me into a 4:1 aspect ratio panoramic camera. Look at the size of that negative. Absolutely amazing, Lawrence of Arabia style quality. It's got a 47mm Schneider lens on the front. It's gonna be great. And then the final test that I'm gonna do is with my Leica M3 with a 135, and I'm gonna do some portraits with this. So we're gonna cover landscape, alternative, sweeping landscape, curved landscapes, and portraiture, all while looking at this film. Now for full disclosure, I have 5 rolls of film in front of me. All 5 rolls of film were sent to me by the folks at CineStill for this review. But I can write and say whatever I want, like every video I've ever done here in the Fission Revolution. So I, for one, am really excited. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna go outside. It's really cold today in Vermont, but I'm gonna brave it. We're gonna go outside, I'm gonna set up, probably using the M3, and I'm gonna set up a scene that represents a good zone 2 to say zone 7 or zone 8. I'm gonna use my Pentax digital spot meter, and we're gonna do a zone test. And I'm gonna do a series of exposures, probably going down to like an exposure index of 50 and maybe out to an exposure index of 400. And I'll shoot those again and again and again on a roll of film. And then I'll cut all those up, and then we'll try all the different developers. And then I'll be able to tell you with those different developers what the usable exposure index range is and what the best exposure is. Ferrania is really pushing an exposure index of 160, so we'll see. With the stand development, I'm suspicious that we'll get obviously a much longer range of usable, and then we're just gonna have some fun. All right, so I made the decision that I'm gonna switch lenses on my camera from the, just for the testing purposes today, from the 135, and I'm gonna switch to a 50mm Summicron collapsible. Really just a great piece of glass, and it'll be easier from a framing standpoint to use this setup today. All right, so let's take a look at the packaging. Ferrania's packaging is really nice. I know they do all of their assembly and cut down everything, the canisters, all in-house. And I mean, they're really top notch. Everything about this is clean. I've never had any issue with scratching or anything like that. The film looks like it's really nicely cut. Everything's very professional, is what you would expect. So let's load up the M3. Once again, I always reverse tension all of my film just so I know there's no slack. You can see the film is advancing. So we're all set. All right, so we're outside, and yeah, it's cold. What I'm doing is I'm setting up for photographing this old barn right here. Got my camera set up on the tripod, cable release, we're all good to go. Got my light meter out, and I'm gonna meter the scene. I'm gonna place the shadow side here at zone 3 where the license plates are, and that's coming in as an EV11. So if I go to the top of the meter here, yeah, you can see that, and I put it at 11, you can see zone 3 is falling on an EV of 11, and I've got the exposure index set to 160. Next, I'm going to take a look at metering like the highlight areas, kind of wanting to see where they fall. So if I meter like the bright area on the door there, that's a 15. A 15 would be a zone 7. It's bright, but that should be fine. I'm metering the roof, that's a 14. I'm metering the grass in the foreground, that's a 14, 13, right around a zone 6, so that should be okay. It's definitely a contrasty scene. It's Vermont, it's harsh light, but I think this is going to be a great test to see just what that film can do. First exposure's at a 500th. It's cold. 125. 60. And the 30th. And then I'll just do that again. All right, so in that test, we just went 2 stops underexposed, the normal exposure, which was f8.5 at a 125th, and then 2 stops overexposed. So this is going to be a great test to just see how good the latitude of that material is. Right, so the film is now out of the camera. I'm going to take it inside. I'm going to have some lunch and warm up because it is cold. And then this afternoon, I will process, hopefully, all of the tests that we just did and all 5 different developers. And then tomorrow, in part 2, we'll take a look at the negatives, figure out what's the best exposure latitude, what's the best developer film combination, hopefully developers film combination, and then we're going to get to taking a whole bunch of fun test images. Thank you very much for listening. Now go shoot some film.